Does the processing of payroll need to be a monthly administrative nightmare? This is Stuff Employers Should Know.
Welcome to Stuff Employers Should Know, proudly brought to you by LabourNet, management's ultimate HR solution.
Hey, and welcome to the podcast. It's Yas like it Ismail, as always. And today we are doing a virtual recording, and I've got someone from our payroll department, finally, thankfully. And we have Simeon Carter, who will be helping us in today's episode. Super excited to have him on the show. It's very different not being in the studio, I can tell you that much. Got Simeon here in front of me on Teams, and today we're going to have a quick chat. So, good day everyone. Today we will be discussing payroll in-house processing versus payroll outsourcing. And Simeon, can you tell us a bit more about what payroll outsourcing is?
Thanks, Yasser. I think before I start, I'm just really excited to be here. I've had a little bit of FOMO listening to some of the other episodes, and that fear of missing out. Excited to have payroll on board, and let's jump into it. So basically, payroll outsourcing is when a business gets a third-party provider to facilitate and manage their full end-to-end process. So it looks at the kind of non-financial side, thinking of their staff movements or new engagements or appointments, as well as discharges. And then also includes the payroll processing side. So that's the financial information. If we think of, allowances or overtime, things like bonuses that need to get paid to employees. And this can also often then include the actual payment. So working with a payment provider to facilitate the salary payments of employees.
Okay, so it's quite self-explanatory with the word outsourcing. And then on the flip side, what exactly is in-house processing when it comes to payroll, Simeon?
So look, yes, so there's a lot of payroll software providers out there, obviously, a lot of different systems that a business could utilize. And basically, this is when a business actually has a payroll administrator or a payroll and HR team, and they utilize this software to ensure that their staff is paid. So they are actually the ones utilizing the software, adding the components to do the employee's pay slip and manage their leave, etc. So they utilize a system, but they run all those steps and processes in-house.
And Simeon, you're mentioning a system, obviously, that would obviously mean something that's efficient. But the fact of the matter is we still have some companies running their payrolls off a simple thing like an Excel spreadsheet, which I can imagine is probably a nightmare to manage and to obviously process properly. I'm pretty sure there's a lot that goes wrong when using old school Excel spreadsheets when it comes to your payroll.
Yes, absolutely. So I think there's a lot of concerns around that. We're obviously living in a very digital age, so where we want things to be streamlined and quick and efficient. Using something like Excel, it's obviously still very manual. There's a big room for and risk for error to take place, and very time consuming. So when you start utilizing a reputable payroll software and a good provider, you actually start guaranteeing, compliance and making sure that your business is legislatively aligned as well.
So what exactly are the benefits of outsourcing your payroll?
Yeah, so if we look at the benefits of outsourcing your payroll, there is definitely a time save that happens. So saving a business time, they don't have to have that employee within their organization paying full-time attention to the payroll matters. That's actually taken care of the team that they outsource the payroll to, or the business that they outsource their payroll to. And then within the outsourcing option, a business is actually entrusting that payroll with an expert knowledge. So a team that has expert knowledge has a strict adherence to processes and sign-off. So we really there just ensure accurate and timeous payment of the staff. It also then reduces the costs, so kind of goes in line with what I just mentioned in terms of this time saving. You don't have to go physically appoint someone for that, so you reduce some of the costs involved. And I think for any business that is, maybe in the SMME space or a growing business, as they grow, this also becomes very easy to to manage. So the scalability and the flexibility of the service is easy to manage as a client or a business maybe opens another branch or expands.
And Simeon, on the flip side of that, what exactly are the benefits of in-house processing?
Yeah, thanks, Yasser. So the benefits of in-house processing, a company has much more control over the payroll process because they're running everything from their perspective. Another real advantage here is the knowledge and skills and technical expertise that are related to the payroll system and the legislative knowledge, etc., of the acts, the legislative acts within South Africa that are relevant to payroll. So you think of the Basic Conditions of Employment Act or the Income Tax Act. The knowledge of that also resides within that business, within the payroll and HR team or the payroll individual, which is a real plus point. And they also have direct access to information. Another benefit there is just if they have last minute changes or things that quickly need to happen, the company would have flexibility in terms of managing last minute changes or adjustments to their monthly payroll.
And Simeon, what else can a business consider in making this decision?
So really key considerations here are basically for a business to look at the technical expertise. I think we've just touched on it, but really just to see if they have the technical expertise that does reside in their organization. If they do, that then points to possibly entertaining an in-house solution. And then on the flip side of that, if there is any doubt of that, not having the skills or payroll knowledge within their business or within a person within their business, then it would be a good idea to outsource the payroll. And then another one that we come across within businesses is if there has ever been any breach in confidentiality or any fraudulent activities that have perhaps happened within the business around payment of staff or duplicate payments or whatever it may be, those do raise red flags, and then we would immediately suggest that a business explore the outsourcing of their payroll.
Excellent. That makes a lot of sense, Simeon. And then, of course, what exactly does LabourNet offer on the payroll front? I know I've been with the company for a while, but I've never really dealt with the payroll department much. And I've heard outsourcing, I've heard a whole lot of different words, and they've been gibberish to me until now. But what exactly do you guys have on offer?
So the great thing about LabourNet is that we actually offer both an in-house and an outsource option, depending on the business needs. So we have dedicated outsource teams who can assist with that end-to-end payroll processing, and this actually caters for the full employee life cycle. So what we're talking about there is from the onboarding of an employee to the exit of employees. We cater for the start to the end and everything in between. And then we also have support consulting teams nationally that assist a business's payroll and HR team or a smaller business's payroll administrator. And this would be with payroll advice and recommendations. We can assist with payroll setups or changes, and ultimately legislative compliance, just to ensure that a business is remaining compliant and doesn't get into any sort of trouble or incur any sort of penalties with the regulatory bodies.
Simeon, you've mentioned legislative compliance, and I think that would be a nice segue into another episode that I'd like to get you on for. I know we are running out of time for today, but perhaps in our next episode, we can go through some of that legislation that does affect companies and what they really need to look out for when it comes to their payroll. But Simeon, of course, thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for obviously being part of the show, first of our payroll series, and we really look forward to having you once again. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Simeon Carter, our payroll manager, all the way down in Cape Town.
Thanks, Yasser, for having me. Really do appreciate it, and just looking forward to getting involved in more podcasts. And we actually do have a podcast on ETI coming up soon, so that is one part of the payroll legislation, which I'm really excited to talk about soon. So looking forward to that. Thank you so much.
Stuff Employers Should Know was proudly brought to you by LabourNet, management's ultimate HR solution. For more episodes from Stuff Employers Should Know, Go to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you play your favorite shows. Case law or statutes referenced in the podcast are current at the time of recording.